Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Lily Reads. It is the end of the year and it is time to talk about my 2022 reading superlatives. So basically in this video, I came up with a bunch of superlatives I want to give out to all of the books I read this year. I read 150 books this year. I would say my reading was cut up into about 85 physical, 25% audio and Kindle. That's how the breakup of this happens. I read most of my books physically. That's why when people are like, you buy a lot of books, that's how I choose to read books. It's just easy for me to read books physically than it is for me to read books via audio. I get distracted very easily. It's quite easy to tell that I get distracted very easy. You can tell by the way I present. I get distracted a lot. So reading books physically is just really easy for me. It grounds me. It grounds my day. So this is my reading. This is not all 150 books. You have to keep in mind, I read some books on Kindle. I read some books via the library, and that's pretty much it. That's why the rest of these wouldn't be here. Or some of them I just read on audio, and so I don't own the book physically. But these are the books that I have that I read. So here is the breakdown. From here to there, these are my 4 and 5 star reads. So this is a 4 pile, this is a 4 pile, and then this pile over here is my 5 star reads. Then we go over here. This is my 3 to 1 star reads. This would be mostly my 3s. This is 2s and 1s all combined up together because I just didn't really feel the need to break them really apart. 2 and 1 this year was really kind of the same for me. They just all blurred together. So what are my thoughts on this? Actually, when I started putting this pile together, it surprised me how many 4-star books that I had. I did not realize I read so many 4 stars. This is why it's good to have visuals of what you have read, because I actually thought, if you gun to my head, if you asked me what was the rating I gave most books this year, I would say 3 stars. But honestly, these are my only 3 stars. Everything else over here is 2 and 1. These are my only 3-star reads. So that means that most of my books this year are 4-star reads. Not most of my books this year, but I got the most 4-star reads, and I don't change the 4 stars that I gave any of these. I think these were 4-star reads. Some of these are 4-star reads leaning 5. Therefore, I had more 4-star reads than any other star rating, which is just really surprising, because if you guys follow this channel, you know I am very vocal about the fact that I think this was a terrible reading year for me. There are not a lot of books that I was really able to sink my teeth into. I did not have the best reading experience with most of these books. Look at all of these books that I just genuinely do not enjoy. So I didn't have, but proof is in the pudding. This is over 20 plus, 30 plus books, and they were 4 stars. So it couldn't have been that bad. So I think the reason why my reading experience felt so bad is because a lot of these books came in the exact same month. So it would be a month where I would get 3, 4, 5 4-star reads. Then I would get a bunch of 3, 2 stars. Then I would get another group of 4-star reads. So my 4-star reads really came in clumps, and they weren't spread out. And I think that's what made my reading year feel so bad. When it rained, it poured. And when it was good, when we were feasting, we ate good. But there was never this give and take. There was never, okay, here's a 1-star read, but boom, here's a 5. There was never nothing to cleanse my palate when I had a bad book. It just got to a point this year where it would be bad book, bad book, bad book, then a good book, bad book, bad, then a good book. And then I would get a bunch of good books, and then I would get a bunch of bad books. So everything felt so extreme. And for some reason, these books right here just really stayed in my mind more than these books over there. But I really like these books. But when I think about the books that I'm unhauling, you can go watch my unhaul video. I'm not unhauling a lot of books that I read this year. So Also, that is proof that my reading year wasn't as bad as I think. So I think that I can take from seeing this that my reading year wasn't as bad as I thought. I just think I didn't have enough reads that I am so passionate about. I don't know if I got more than 3 all-time favorite books. Like if I had to make a top 10 list of my favorite books of all time, 2 books this year would even make like the long list. The long list of 30, only 2-3 books would make that long list. And then like I'm thinking about my favorite book of all time. My favorite book of all time is Mama Day by Gloria Naylor. And I'm thinking about how I feel about that book. Like that is a book I literally will shove down anyone's throat. Or I think about Zadie Smith's On Beauty, a book that I would shove down people's throat. Catcher in the Rye, The Great Gatsby. Those are books that I like genuinely love. The Outsiders. I love everything about those books. I don't feel that way even about most of my 5-star reads, that I would just shove them down people's throat. A lot of them were mood reads. I was in the mood to read them. I read them and they scratched an itch. And so I gave them 5-star, but like, are they my favorite books of all time? Because I'm not one of those people who believe all 5-star books are made equally. Like some people believe like if I gave a book a 5-star, it's one of my favorite books of all time. But I don't, that math doesn't math for me because like a book can be 5-star. Like you can have favorites of the 5 stars, like you got favorite books within your 5-star anyway. So I'm going to get on with it. So my superlative list, let me go get them. Oh, y'all got to see a full view of all the books. So I wrote some things down. We have like things like best cover, worst cover, best sequel, worst sequel, all of that. But we can just start with best cover. So I went through all of my books making this pile and I was able to see what I considered my best cover to be. And I think the best cover this year goes to Hyde. It's really unfortunate that the book isn't good because I really, really love this cover. As I'm trying to get rid of a lot of books, I'm going back and forth. Should I keep books based on their covers? There are always going to be amazing covers that come out and does that mean, so will this cover mean so much to me in 3, 4, 5 years that I just need to hold on to it even though I really disliked the book and found it to be very, very disappointing? I don't know, but I think I am going to keep it, but I'm only going to allow myself to keep 2 books based off the covers because I would like, in a perfect world, I would like to have the willpower to get rid of everything that's 3 and below. Everything that's 3 and below, I would like to be able to get rid of. And I am getting rid of most of my all of my 1 stars I'm getting rid of. And a good chunk of my 2 stars, except the ones that are by Black authors. So I would love to have, the willpower to get rid of all of these, everything 3 and below, but I just don't have that yet. I am one of those people who just believe like every book has its day. You never know, like one day you might not have gotten that book now. Like Luster, for example. I gave Luster 2 stars, but maybe in 4 or 5 years, I will come to appreciate what Luster was trying to do, So I don't know. But that being said, Hyde is the best cover of the year for me. The next thing we have, the worst cover of the year for me. The worst cover of the year for me is going to go to Dean Otto, Only on the Weekends. This is just terrible cover art. The boys are dressed like it's 2003 and they're in the TV show The Wire. Like this just like what the hell is this? Like what the hell is this? It's just bad. Like no, this is the worst cover of the year. When I was doing my worst covers of the year for the summer, I forgot about this book. No, I think I said this was one of the worst covers, but this is bad. I was looking at it again, I'm just like, this is a terrible, awful cover. No, like this doesn't make anybody want to read this. It looks dated. The next thing we have is best characters. So my best characters came down to 2 people. I don't think I have the book out and about right now, but if you read the Atlas 6, Tristan from the Atlas 6, I really enjoyed as a character, and I loved reading from his POVs. Like, if you are in an ensemble cast and I enjoy when we're in your POV, you become a favorite character. Tristan was that for me. But my ultimate favorite character of the year, Charming as a Verb, the main character in Charming as a Verb, Henry. Henry is my favorite character of the year. I thought he was suave. I thought he was cool. I thought he had so much charisma, so much heart. It just, everything about this book worked for me. And Henry is 100% the reason why this is one of my favorite books of the year, because Henry is my favorite character of the year. Worst character of the year. It's 2. We have an honorable mention, one to watch. I'll just put it up here so I don't have to bust down this pile, but it's right here. If you take one to watch, the main character in this book is absolutely insufferable. Like, I get it. We all have our plights. We all have our things that we're dealing with, but you ain't got to act the way you fucking act. And then, but my number one least favorite character is the little boy in this. Yes, I don't know why I have beef with a little boy, but what the goddamn Kareem. No, not Kareem. Kareem is the love interest. Mac. Mac is my worst character of the year. He just didn't make any sense. I know he's a kid, and when you're reading a young adult book, kids will be kids, but he was insufferable. He was insufferable. He was mean to the people around him, but he didn't see that he was the problem, and everyone else was doing wrong to him, and he didn't see the ways in which he was doing wrong by others, and he wanted so much understanding from him. He wanted people to understand him, but he didn't have that same understanding for others. He didn't realize that he was privileged as hell and everybody else around him didn't have the same privilege. No, he was my least favorite character of the year. I got beef with a little boy. The next thing that we have, book that I am most likely to reread. Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I want to reread this book so bad. I just have not had the time. This book is definitely the book I will probably reread. Out of all these books, I will reread first, and I am most likely to reread. Like, if someone was like, if we check on you, Kenya, in 5 years, which of these books will you have probably reread? Monday's Not Coming. What is next? Book I'm likely to never read again. All of these, that's why I say I need to unhaul them, because I probably won't reread any of these anytime soon. But I do, like I said earlier, believe that one day, you guys, my shirt is literally inside out. Literally inside out. Let me fix that. All video, I've been looking at myself in the viewfinder like, why is my shirt? Like, did y'all notice? Like, I was like, why is my shirt? My shirt was inside out. We move. The next thing is book I will likely never read again. Faker. I am never going to read Faker again. 100% it is getting unhauled if you saw my unhaul video. I'm never going to read Faker again. Like, out of all these books I think maybe on a certain day I could enjoy. I will never enjoy the book Faker. It 100% is likely to never be a reread. The next thing is the book I am likely to keep forever. That is Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl. This book is my brand. Number one, the colors. You have the pink and yellow and the purple. Literally my 3 favorite colors, pink, yellow, purple. This was a Lily Reads book club, which is my book club that I run. And it was absolutely excellent. I will keep this book forever. If my house burned down and someone's like, you can only keep one book, I would grab this book. What is the next thing that we have? Book that I want to get rid of immediately. The book that I want to get rid of immediately is Four Aunties and a Wedding. I want this book out of my home because I know at the end of the year I do big unhauls. I kept this book so it could be in the unhaul video. I've wanted this book outside of my house for the past 8 or 7 months since I read it. Like, I hate this book and like I need it out of my house. The next thing, worst sequel. The worst sequel that I read this year was Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. Finley Donovan, the series, is the 3rd book is coming out next month, and I don't even know if I'm going to read it. That's how much I did not enjoy Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. I found this book to be, you know, you ever try to relive your glory days? You ever try to do something again and it doesn't hit the same the second time? That's what this book was. It felt like we were trying to capture the magic that was Finley Donovan is killing it, and we just never quite got there. And so it just felt stale. It felt late. It felt tired. This 100% is the worst sequel that I read. So much so I don't even know if I'm going to read the third book. And like after the first book, I was sure this was going to be a series that would sit on my bookshelf for years, because more than likely this series we're going to get like 6 books out of. It's a cozy mystery series, and I might not even make it past the second book, which is crazy. The most boring book that I read this year is 100% Stay Awake, which is ironic because you'll snooze. This is the most boring book I read this year. Everything about this book is boring. I don't like looking for missing people. I don't even remember if somebody was missing in this book. This is the most boring book that I read this year. I don't even want to explain much further than that. The next thing we have is worst reading experience. The worst reading experience I had with a book this year was The Lifeguards. So there was a really bad car accident on the highway when I was on a road trip. And so in order to pass the time, because we were literally in standstill traffic, your car was off because you weren't moving. Someone died and the coroner had to come out. It was a whole thing. I was reading this book physically in my car, and it was just a bad reading experience. The book was bad. Traffic was bad. I was ready to get home. Bad reading experience all around. The next thing we have is my favorite reading experience. My favorite reading experience this year was reading American Royals. I read this book in like 48 hours. It was so much fun. I loved my reading experience with this book. This was 100% the best reading experience. The next thing, worst series. What is the worst series that I read this year? I don't read a lot of series because series are usually more of a young adult thing. Young adult fantasy, young adult sci-fi. So series is not really what I read. So the only series I would like, anyways, I don't read a lot of series, but the Summer I Turned Pretty series is the worst series that I read. I gave every single book 1 or 2 stars. So the Summer I Turned Pretty. The most forgettable book that I read this year, you can't see it, so I'll pop it up, but it's The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I gave that book 4 stars, but like, it's so forgettable. I do not remember anything about the soulmate equation. I do know the whole premise of the book is that she enters this like dating study, and the guy who created the study is her like highest match. And basically the whole point is that you can find a soulmate based on like a test. So if you guys have a good match, but she matches with the guy who created the thing and they start dating. But like, I literally forget that I see it sometimes, and sometimes I accidentally put it in my like need to read because that's how much I don't remember it. The next thing is best plot. Best plot, let me go get it. It's a library book. Let me go get it. The best plot of this year is Sign Here. I think this book is the most fun plot that there is. It's about the people who go to hell have to try to get other people to come to hell. So they try to get them to like sign away their soul to the devil. And basically if you sign away enough souls, you get another chance in life to like do your life right and not go to hell. It's so much fun. Do I think the execution was all like fully there? No, but this book had such a good plot. What's next? The most exciting book that I read. The most exciting book that I read this year, Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, was such a good time. It would probably be number 2 on my best reading experience. Carrie Soto is Back is such, like, it's just so much fun. It was such a fun read. Next is most memorable book that I read. The most memorable book that I read this year is In the Dream House. This book, it stuck with me. Like, it just stuck with me. Like, it gave me everything that I needed. It really affected my life. It affected like how I see relationships, and it was just a brilliant book. I think this is the most memorable book that I read this year. It just really packed that punch. Best new author. I'll just grab one book by them. I never read a Tiffany D. Jackson book until this year. So Tiffany D. Jackson is my favorite new author. I gave The Weight of Blood, Grown, and Monday's Not Coming all 5 stars, which means she's one of my favorite authors of all time. I give her 3 5 stars. The next thing, the book I regret buying. That's kind of hard The book that I regret buying, there's so many, so I'll run through them. The Lifeguards by Amanda Erie Ward, regret buying. The Last Thing He Told Me, I regret buying. Like a Sister, I regret buying. Greenwich Park, I regret buying. Anonymous Girl, but I got it on bargain, so I don't mind. Those off short are some books that I regret buying. The next, the best sequel. The best sequel goes to Christmas Shopaholic. That book is so good. So it's not like a sequel. It's like we're way down the line, but best sequel, Christmas Shopaholic by Sophia Kinsella. Most ridiculous plot. The most ridiculous plot of this year is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. This is the most ridiculous plot of the year for me. But anyways, that is the end of my superlatives. Next year, let's hope I have more positive thoughts on my reading experiences. But thank you guys so much for tuning into Lily Reads this year, and I will see you guys in 2023. Peace.